Imagine this. You awaken on the morning of your 70th birthday, and instead of being overcome by thoughts of loss, frailty, or decline, your heart fills with wonder. You realize that you have already outlived millions who never made it this far. You have walked through wars and revolutions, witnessed the rise and fall of nations, and seen dreams once confined to science fiction turn into everyday reality. You have loved deeply and lost profoundly, succeeded and failed, suffered and endured. And yet here you are, still breathing, still conscious, still capable of shaping the story that remains. But this is where many fall into the quiet trap of age, believing that life beyond 70 is little more than survival, a waiting room before the end. They cling to the illusion that happiness lies in accumulation, more possessions, more memories, more validation. Yet as the Buddha taught, by grasping nothing we find peace. What if the true gift of age lies not in adding, but in subtracting? What if freedom emerges not from holding on, but from letting go? Consider this. The beauty of a melody doesn't dwell in its final note, but in the spaces between the pauses, the silences that give the music its soul. In the same way, the beauty of life after 70 is not in clinging tighter, but in loosening your grip. You no longer need to chase every ambition or answer every demand. This stage of life invites you to live differently, more lightly, more wisely, more courageously. So ask yourself, what burdens still weigh you down? Old fears that whisper in the dark, resentments that gnaw at your peace, possessions that fill your home but no longer serve your spirit, or beliefs that once kept you safe but now keep you small. The Buddha said that suffering is born from clinging, and thus liberation comes from release, from letting go of what no longer nourishes you. In this journey, we will uncover 8 illusions, 8 silent attachments that steal your peace. Each is a shadow waiting to be dissolved, each a gate that opens into a lighter, freer existence. Stay with me, because the first of these shadows may be the most deceptive of all. The illusion that you already know enough. And so I ask, what is more dangerous, ignorance, or the illusion of knowledge itself? Think carefully. When someone humbly admits, "I do not know," the door to learning remains open, and through that doorway, light continues to pour in. But the very moment a person declares, "I have lived enough, I have seen it all, I already understand everything that matters," that same door slams shut, and with it, the gentle radiance of wisdom begins to fade. This is a trap many fall into after 70 years of living. They mistake the passage of time for the possession of truth. Decades of experience become a shield against curiosity, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, they stop questioning, stop listening, stop exploring. They confuse the breadth of years with the depth of understanding. Their bodies may still move, but their minds grow stiff, imprisoned by the silent arrogance of certainty. The Buddha warned of this subtle danger when he spoke of conceit, not just pride toward others, but that quiet, inner whisper that says, "I already know enough." This form of conceit is more poisonous than anger, more elusive than greed, because it hides beneath the illusion of wisdom. To cling to what you know as if it were complete is to cut yourself off from the vast, infinite ocean of truth that forever lies beyond your horizon. Even the Buddha's most enlightened disciples, Sariputra, Makachapa, and others, continued to learn until their final breath. They bowed before monks younger than themselves, humbled by the recognition that the Dharma has no end, that no single lifetime, no matter how long, can exhaust its depth. To stop learning is to stop breathing the air of awakening. Think of a tree that refuses to grow new leaves because it believes it already has enough branches. How long before it begins to rot? A river that stops flowing becomes stagnant and foul, and a mind that stops seeking imprisons itself in the stillness of pride. Yet remember the feeling of being alive when something new stirs your curiosity, a book that moves your spirit, a teaching that shifts your vision, a conversation that dismantles what you thought you knew. In those moments, life reveals its eternal freshness. You are reminded that you are still a student of existence. To be curious is to remain young. To be open is to remain free. From the Buddhist view, clinging to the idea of already knowing is not wisdom but attachment, an identification with the self-image that says, I am wise, I am experienced, I am finished. Yet the Dharma teaches that there is no fixed self, no permanent identity to hold on. To see yourself as finished is to deny the very truth of impermanence. Just as the body must stay flexible to move with the current of life, the mind too must remain supple to meet each moment anew. And when we ask why people close themselves off, the answer is often simple. Fear. The fear of being wrong, the fear of appearing foolish, the fear of facing truths that could unmake the beliefs they have built their lives upon. At 70, it is far easier to rest comfortably in certainty than to step once more into the humble space of a beginner's mind. But what is comfort compared to freedom? What is pride beside awakening? Recall the Buddha's parable of the empty cup. A learned scholar once visited a Zen master, eager to demonstrate his wisdom. As the master poured tea into the scholar's cup, he continued pouring until the tea spilled over and ran across the table. Shocked, the scholar exclaimed, "Stop, the cup is full." The master replied, "Yes, and so are you. How can I show you the way unless you first empty your cup?" This story is not merely about scholars or monks. It is about each of us. When our minds are already filled to the brim with conclusions, judgments, and fixed beliefs, where can new understanding enter? The empty cup represents humility. It is readiness, the willingness to unlearn, to open space for fresh insight. So I ask you again, at 70, do you still read new books? Do you listen to the voices of the young without dismissing them as naive? Do you question the assumptions that have quietly governed your life? Or have you perhaps, without noticing, declared to yourself, "I know enough"? Because here is an unshakable truth. The moment you stop learning is the moment you begin to die, not in body but in spirit. And the moment you open your mind again, even a little, you begin to live anew. The Buddha described the noble path as a continual process of cultivation. Cultivation never ends. The field of the mind must always be tended, the weeds of complacency always pulled, the soil of curiosity always refreshed. A garden left untended soon grows wild and barren, and so does a mind left without inquiry. Let this be your reflection. Release the illusion of knowing enough. Trade the heavy burden of certainty for the lightness of curiosity. Instead of saying, "I am too old to learn," try whispering to yourself, "I have just begun." When you do, something miraculous unfolds. Your world expands once more. Life, once narrow and predictable, becomes vast and shimmering with possibility. Conversations deepen, small discoveries regain their sparkle, and your spirit stirs with the vitality of wonder. Most importantly, you become a living example for those who come after you. You show that true wisdom is not arrogance but humility, that an elder is not defined by how much they know, but by how open they remain to what is still unseen. As the Buddha taught, in the sky there is no east or west. The wise are those who are free from fixed views. So I invite you now, empty your cup. Let go of the illusion that your journey of learning has ended, for the Dhamma is boundless, and every single day that you awaken is another opportunity to drink from its endless stream. Ask yourself this, at 70 years old, what is your most precious possession? Is it your wealth, your house, the photographs that line your walls? No, your most precious treasure is time. Every breath, every hour, every fleeting day that remains is priceless beyond measure. And because time is so rare, so fragile, so fleeting, you must guard it fiercely, choose carefully where it flows and with whom it is shared. Yet how often do we waste this jewel of life, scattering it on distractions, routines, or regrets that do not nourish the soul? In the company of those who poison our peace, our spirit begins to wilt. We remain bound to family members who never truly respected us, loyal to friends who drag us into gossip, bitterness, or despair. We keep close those who take and take and take, while offering nothing that nourishes our soul. We justify it as duty, habit, or loyalty, but beneath those excuses lies a painful truth. Every hour spent with someone who diminishes your spirit is an hour stolen from your freedom. The Buddha taught of Kalyanamitta, noble friendship, spiritual companionship, and he said plainly, admirable friendship is the whole of the holy life. Why? Because the company you keep shapes the landscape of your mind. To walk beside the wise is to breathe in fresh, cleansing air. To linger among the foolish, cruel, or unkind is to suffocate slowly in the smoke of confusion and pain. History is filled with those who began again in the final chapters of life. There are poets who wrote their first books in their 80s, lovers who met in their 70s, visionaries who started movements in their 90s. But you don't need to look to history. Look to the Dharma. The Buddha welcomed seekers who came to him weary and gray, humbled by decades of mistakes. Some had spent lifetimes chasing illusions, yet with only a short time of sincere practice, they found peace. Some even reached enlightenment at the edge of death. If liberation were reserved only for the young, what kind of compassion would that be? The Dharma is not bound by time or age. It opens its hand to you now, in this very breath, as gently as it opened to the Buddha's oldest disciples. And yet, the illusion of too late persists. Why? Because we cling to fixed ideas of what life should look like. We divide it into stages: youth for adventure, middle age for responsibility, old age for decline. But these are social stories, not spiritual truth. The Dharma does not recognize these boundaries. Who says you cannot begin again at 70? Who says awakening cannot come in the winter of life? These are not the chains of reality. They are the chains of convention. Consider this. When a tree blossoms in spring, do you say, it is too late, it should have bloomed sooner? When the sun rises after a long night, do you scold it for taking too long to appear? No. You rejoice that it has come. In the same way, when wisdom dawns late in your life, it is not too late, it is right on time. The Buddha once told of a monk who reached enlightenment just days before his death. Was it too late for him? No. Even a single moment of awakening outweighs a lifetime of delusion. A drop of truth can transform an ocean of error. So why should you believe your time has passed? You are still breathing. You are still here. The Dharma still flows toward you like a river, ever fresh, ever alive. It is not too late. It has never been too late, and it never will be. As long as awareness arises, awakening is possible. It is never too late, not while the breath still flows, not while the heart still beats, not while a single spark of curiosity remains alive within you. Think of those who say, I am too old to learn. Are they not already dying before death arrives? Think of those who insist, I cannot change now. Are they not already imprisoned by their own minds? But those who say, I will live fully today, no matter their age, are they not free even before the body rests? So let me turn the question gently back to you. What dream have you buried under the excuse of too late? Is it learning an art you once loved? Traveling to a sacred place? Reconciling with someone your heart still misses? Or simply deepening your practice, sitting quietly, tasting peace? What if you began today? What if instead of saying it's too late, you asked, why not now? Remember what the Buddha said, do not put off until tomorrow what can be done today, for tomorrow may never come. The past is gone, the future is uncertain, but today, this breath, this heartbeat, this moment is alive. If you wait for the perfect time, It will never arrive. But if you act now, this very moment becomes perfect. The belief that it's too late is not truth. It is fear. Fear of failure. Fear of wasted effort. Fear of looking foolish. But Buddhism teaches that fear itself is only another form of clinging. Clinging to reputation, to comfort, to identity. Release the clinging, and fear dissolves like mist in the morning sun. Picture this: an old monk sweeping leaves in a monastery courtyard. A passerby asks, "Why sweep every day when more leaves fall each night?" The monk smiles and replies, "Because each day deserves its own clarity." That is the secret. You may not change everything, but each day you can bring clarity, peace, and meaning. And that is enough. At 70, at 80, even at 90, the question is not how much time remains, but how deeply will you live the time that is given. One mindful breath can hold more truth than 70 distracted years. One act of kindness can heal wounds carried for decades. One new step can begin a journey, no matter when it starts. So release the illusion. It is not too late. It has never been too late. Every dawn is a new invitation. Every breath is a new beginning. Every heartbeat is a call to live. The Dharma does not measure your worth by your age, but by your awareness, and awareness can bloom in any moment. Take a breath with me now. Inhale the freshness of this instant. Exhale the past, dissolving into air. Again, inhale a beginning. Exhale a release. With each breath, the story of too late collapses. With each breath, life itself whispers, now, now. Step into the now. Begin where you are. Live as if this moment were both your first and your last, because in truth, it is both. And in that paradox lies the freedom of awakening. We have walked together through 8 great illusions, 8 shadows that weigh upon the heart. The illusion of knowing enough, the burden of toxic relationships, the clutter of objects and memories, the fear of aging, the expectation that others will make us happy, the comparison with the young, the prison of regret, and the lie of too late. Each illusion is a gate, and now you have the key. The chains of regret and the lie of too late, each of these, when held tightly, steals your freedom. Each of these, when released, returns you to peace. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from clinging and happiness from release. What then is the essence of growing old with joy? It is not in grasping harder, it is in loosening the hand. Think of your life as a long journey up a mountain. For 70 years you have carried bags filled with knowledge and memories, relationships and possessions, fears, comparisons, regrets. The climb has been steep, the load heavy, and yet here you are near the summit, and what is asked of you now? Not to gather more, not to climb faster, but to put the bags down, to walk the last steps lightly, freely, joyfully. So let us say it together. Let go of fear. Let go of clutter. Let go of regret. Let go of comparison. Let go of expectations. Let go of all that no longer serves you. Each letting go is not a loss. It is a liberation. Each release is not emptiness. It is space. Space where joy can finally breathe. Remember this. Aging is not the end. It is the beginning of the truest freedom. When you no longer need to prove yourself, when you no longer chase illusions, you are free to simply be, to drink tea in the quiet of a Sunday morning, to smile at a child passing by, to close your eyes at night with no bitterness in your heart. The Buddha said, by letting go, it all gets done. That is your invitation to release, to rest, to awaken in these precious years. Life after 70 is not survival, it is harvest. And the harvest is sweet if you lay down the tools of striving and pick up the fruit of wisdom. So breathe deeply, step lightly, live freely. The time is not over. This is your chapter of awakening. This is your season of peace. This is your time to be free. Think of your heart as a garden. Every relationship you nurture is a seed. Some bloom into flowers of kindness, patience, and joy. Others grow into weeds of anger, resentment, and fear. And if you allow the weeds to spread unchecked, no flower can survive. So what must you do? You must tend to your garden. You must pull out what chokes the roots of your peace. This is not an act of hatred. Buddhism does not teach us to hate those who harm us. Rather, it teaches us to see clearly, to understand compassion not as endless endurance, but as wisdom in action. Compassion requires boundaries. Forgiveness does not mean granting unlimited chances to those who never change. To love yourself, to honor your awakening, is sometimes to walk away when walking away is the only path that protects your peace. I know this is not easy. What if the person draining your spirit is your own son, your daughter, your spouse, your oldest friend? Surely you say, I cannot turn away from them. But ask yourself, what is love if it leaves you shattered? What is loyalty if it demands the betrayal of your own soul? The Buddha once spoke of a man sinking in a river. If you reach to save him while he thrashes and pulls you under, both of you will drown. True wisdom is knowing when to step back, when to preserve yourself so that, one day, you might help from the shore with steadier hands. Sometimes the most compassionate act is distance. Sometimes the most loving act is to say no. But how can you tell when a relationship has turned toxic? The answer lies not in theory, but in feeling. After you speak with someone, ask yourself, do I feel lighter, clearer, uplifted, or heavy, drained, and diminished? After spending time with them, do I feel at peace or disturbed? This is the test. The heart always knows. The body always tells the truth. The Dharma is not distant philosophy. It is immediate, practical, visceral. At 70, each breath is precious. How many remain? 10,000, 100,000, a million. Whatever the number, it is finite. Do you truly wish to spend those remaining breaths arguing with those who refuse to listen, cleaning up the chaos of another's disrespect? Or will you spend them in quiet joy, in the presence of those who bring you calm, in moments that fill your spirit rather than empty it, in the quiet moments of meaningful conversation, in the simple gestures of kindness shared between hearts? Life reveals its truest beauty. This is why letting go of toxic relationships is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of wisdom. It is not selfishness. It is self-respect. And when you choose self-respect, you create the fertile ground where true compassion can take root. For only a heart at peace can radiate peace to others. Only a spirit unchained can offer freedom. Remember the story of the Buddha and the poisonous snake. When asked what to do if one encounters a snake, he did not say, pick it up and hold it close. He said, handle it carefully, keep a safe distance. Compassion does not mean embracing venom. You may feel empathy for the snake, but you do not allow its poison to enter your veins. So it is with people whose words or actions carry toxicity. We may hold them in compassion, but we must never permit their bitterness to seep into the quiet sanctuary of our soul. The teaching is simple, yet profound. Choose your companions with care. Walk beside those who nurture wisdom, patience, and kindness. Limit your time, or release entirely those who drain your energy and cloud your mind. At 70, you have nothing left to prove to anyone. You owe no one your peace, but yourself and those who honor it. So pause for a moment and ask, who in your life uplifts you, and who in your life depletes you? Be honest, be courageous, because to step away from those who harm your spirit is not loss, it is liberation, and liberation, at any age, is the purest form of happiness. Now look around your home, the closets that no longer close, the drawers that groan beneath the weight of forgotten things, the shelves lined with objects that once seemed precious but now gather only dust. Each of these items whispers softly, "Remember me, keep me. You might need me someday," but ask yourself, do you? Or are these things merely chains disguised as keepsakes? The Buddha taught that attachment to form is one of the great fetters of suffering. Every item we cling to, every relic of the past we cannot release, becomes a subtle weight upon the heart. You may not feel it consciously, but clutter, physical or emotional, breeds restlessness. Too many things cloud the mind. Too many memories, stacked upon each other, leave no room for breath. Imagine walking through a crowded room where furniture is piled high. Each step is cautious, confined, restricted. You move carefully, afraid to bump into something, unable to stretch freely. This is what happens when the heart becomes cluttered. The inner world mirrors the outer one. The spirit begins to shrink to fit the space that remains. And as the room becomes crowded, so too does the mind. There is no room for new insight, no stillness, no doorway for peace to enter. But clutter is not only physical, it is emotional. It is the grudges we cradle like old possessions, the regrets we hide like secret wounds, the words left unspoken, the apologies we never offered. These are not objects in closets, yet they fill the inner chambers of the heart. They sit in dark corners, gathering dust, spreading shadows. Have you noticed how heavy regret feels? It is like dragging a chest of stones wherever you go. Have you felt how a single grudge can poison even the sweetest of moments? Like a drop of ink clouding a glass of clear water. Emotional clutter is more dangerous than physical clutter, because it shapes not only the space we inhabit, but the very way we see the present moment. It distorts clarity, dims joy, and weighs down the freedom of the soul. Buddhism calls this the second arrow. The first arrow is the pain of what has happened, the unavoidable wound that life sometimes brings. But the second arrow is the one we drive into ourselves, the refusal to release, the endless replaying of what is already over. The event has passed, yet we pierce ourselves again and again with its memory. That is the clutter of the heart, the self-inflicted suffering that lingers long after the moment has gone. So how do we begin to let go? Begin with awareness. Walk gently through your home and ask, does this object serve my peace, or does it bind me to the past? If it binds, release it, give it away, let it bless another life, while freeing your own. Every item released is like cutting a thread that once held you down. The more threads you cut, the lighter you become. Then turn inward. Examine the grudges you carry. What purpose do they serve? Do they heal the past? Do they change what happened? Or do they only poison the present moment? The Buddha once said, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Forgiveness is not pretending you were never hurt. It is simply releasing the coal so that you no longer burn. Regret, too, is not denial. It is clarity. It is seeing that the past cannot be undone, and choosing not to live chained to what can no longer be changed. Pause for a moment. Take a slow, steady breath. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, imagine releasing everything that no longer serves you. The clutter in your closets, the clutter in your mind, the clutter in your heart. Each breath out is a gentle act of letting go. Each breath in creates new space for peace. Ask yourself, if my life were a room, would it be filled with dust and shadows, or would it feel open, bright, and full of light? Remember, your inner room will always reflect the outer ones. Simplify one, and you will simplify the other. Do not mistake simplicity for emptiness. An uncluttered life is not barren. It is spacious. It is like a clear sky, free of clouds, allowing the sun to shine unhindered. It is like a still pond, without ripples, reflecting truth with perfect clarity. And here lies a quiet revelation. The more you release, the more you realize how little you ever truly needed. A few clothes, a few meaningful objects, a handful of precious memories. Beyond that, space. And space is not lack, space is freedom. Remember how the Buddha and his monks traveled with nothing but a bowl and a robe. Not because they glorified poverty, but because they celebrated lightness. With little to carry, they could walk anywhere, stay anywhere, meet anyone, and remain unburdened. Their way of life was not a commandment, but an invitation. How much of what you own is actually owning you? At 70, the question grows more urgent. How many days remain, and how will you spend them? Dusting shelves, organizing drawers, rehearsing regrets, carrying grudges or breathing freely, walking lightly, resting in peace. The choice, as always, is yours. Each moment of release is a small awakening, a return to the simplicity that was always waiting beneath the weight of what you no longer need to hold. So here is the practice. Choose one thing, just one, to let go of today. It may be an object that no longer serves you, a memory that no longer uplifts you, or a regret that no longer deserves your attention. Release it. Feel the space it leaves behind. Notice how even a single act of release creates a ripple of lightness through your being. This is how the great uncluttering begins. Not all at once, but breath by breath, object by object, thought by thought. And understand this, every act of letting go is an act of compassion. Compassion for yourself, for your body, for your mind. You are giving yourself permission to rest, to breathe, to live without the unnecessary weight of what you no longer need. So let this be your quiet mantra. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Let go of the objects, the grudges, the regrets. Release them all, and in their absence, discover the luminous presence of peace. Now pause. Place your hand gently upon your face. Feel the lines etched into your skin, the soft curves where firmness once lived, the tender weight of years written across your features. Society tells you this is decline, that aging is something to hide, to resist, to fear. But what if those lines are not symbols of loss at all? What if they are sacred scriptures written by time itself? Each wrinkle a verse of survival, each crease a stanza of becoming. The Buddha taught that life bears 4 inevitable signs: birth, aging, sickness, and death. These are not punishments but truths, and truth is never the enemy. Denial is. When we fear aging, we are not fearing reality itself. We are fearing the story we have been told about it. We are taught to dread irrelevance, to equate weakness with worthlessness, to believe that beauty and vitality belong only to the young. But these are illusions, not destiny. Consider this: how many never reach 70? How many lives are cut short before their wisdom can blossom? For them, every gray hair would be a miracle. Every laugh line would be a treasure. Aging is not a punishment, it is a privilege. And yet, our culture whispers the opposite, that you must battle time, conceal the years, fight the truth of your own becoming. Endless creams, surgeries, and promises claim they can reverse the clock. But the Dharma does not ask us to turn the clock backward. It asks us to read it rightly. Every tick, every talk is a gift. Every year is a layer of understanding. Aging is not a slow drift toward nothingness. It is a movement toward fullness, ripeness, and clarity. It is the blooming of wisdom, the settling of truth, the deep exhale of a life well lived. Ask yourself this: what is truly more frightening, wrinkles upon the skin, or emptiness within the heart? Which is the real loss, the fading of physical beauty, or the fading of curiosity, compassion, and joy. The body will inevitably change. It will bend and soften. It will tire more easily. But the spirit can continue to deepen, to grow richer, wiser, more radiant with understanding, even as the body slows. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a teaching called anicca, impermanence. Everything that arises will pass. Flowers bloom and then wither. The moon waxes and wanes. The seasons turn, and so too our bodies transform. Yet here lies a secret that few truly see. Impermanence is not a tragedy. It is the very essence of life's beauty. If everything stayed the same forever, nothing would carry meaning. It is precisely because things change, because time leaves its gentle marks upon us, that life becomes precious beyond measure. Think of a tree in autumn. Its leaves turn gold, crimson, amber, and bronze. Some look at the tree and say, it is dying, but others see its most glorious season, the time when its beauty ripens, when it burns brightest before the fall. Why then do we not see ourselves in the same way? At 70, you are not decaying. You are entering your autumn, a season of brilliance, painted in the colors of experience, compassion, and hard-earned wisdom. And yet, fear still creeps in. Fear of dependence, fear of irrelevance, fear of the unknown. But Buddhism teaches that fear arises only from clinging to illusions. You fear aging when you cling to youth. You fear weakness when you cling to strength. You fear death when you cling to permanence. Let go, and the fear dissolves like mist in the morning sun. Remember the Buddha's calm in the face of sickness and death. He did not turn away. He did not resist. He accepted them as natural expressions of existence. And in that acceptance, he found freedom. You too can find that same freedom, not by pretending you will not age, but by embracing aging as the profound teacher it truly is. Ask yourself, what has age already given you? Patience born from the countless trials you have endured. Perspective carved by decades of change and loss and renewal. Gratitude, deep and abiding, born from understanding how fragile life truly is. At 20, we rush. At 40, we strive. But at 70, if we allow it, we can finally rest. We can walk slowly enough to notice the flower at our feet, to hear the song of the wind, to feel the pulse of the moment as it passes through us. Do you remember the first sunrise you ever saw as a child? It was dazzling, overwhelming, a revelation of light. At 70, the sunrise is no less beautiful. In fact, it may be more so because now you understand its rarity. You know how many sunrises you will not see, and that knowledge, that tender awareness of impermanence, makes each dawn more luminous, more sacred, more alive. This is the gift of aging, appreciation sharpened by impermanence. It is not the fading of life, but its flowering into wisdom. The young may see the light, but the elder knows how precious it truly is. So how do we let go of the fear of aging? Begin by changing the story you tell yourself. Instead of whispering, I am fading, declare, I am ripening. Instead of sighing, my time is almost gone, say with quiet pride, my time is finally my own. Instead of mourning the years behind you, celebrate the wisdom they have carved so patiently into your soul. Practice gratitude for the marks of age. Touch the lines on your face and whisper, these are the maps of laughter I have lived. Run your fingers through your gray hair and say, these are the banners of storms I have survived. Every scar, every ache, every silver strand is not a sign of decline, but a testament of endurance. You lived, you struggled, you persisted, you are still here. And here lies the paradox. When you stop fearing age, you stop aging in the way the world imagines. The body may continue its gentle descent, but the spirit begins to rise. Curiosity keeps you alive. Humility keeps you open. Compassion keeps you radiant. Fear contracts the heart. Acceptance expands it. So let us breathe together. Inhale, acknowledge change. Exhale, release fear. Inhale, honor the years behind you. Exhale, welcome the years ahead. Each breath is both a small death of the old and a quiet birth of the new. And so every breath is proof that aging is not an ending. It is a continuation, a movement toward wholeness. The Buddha once said, "Better to live one day with wisdom than 100 years in ignorance." And what greater wisdom is there than to see aging not as declined, but as Dharma unfolding, life revealing its deeper truths in each passing season. Release the fear, embrace the privilege, walk proudly into the autumn of your life, knowing that what lies ahead is not darkness, but harvest, and in that harvest, you will find freedom. Now let me ask you something. How many of your days have been spent waiting for someone else to bring you joy? Waiting for a phone call from your children, waiting for your spouse to notice your effort, waiting for friends to remember you, waiting for society to value you, waiting for anyone to finally give you the recognition you longed for. And when the call never came, when the thanks was never spoken, when the invitation never arrived, how did it feel? Disappointing, lonely, hollow. This is the quiet trap of expectation, the belief that happiness is something handed to us by others. But the Buddha was clear, happiness is not given, it is cultivated. Just as no one can eat for you, breathe for you, or walk your path for you, no one can create your joy. It must rise from within. Consider the ancient teaching, Atahai Atanonatho. The self is its own refuge. What does this mean? It means that we cannot lean forever on the shoulders of others. True peace, true joy, true freedom are not borrowed. They are built within. Think of a lamp. If you wait for someone else to light it, you may sit in darkness forever. But if you strike the match yourself, the flame becomes your own. And once it is lit, no one can take it from you. That flame, once lit within you, has the power to illuminate not only your own room, but the rooms of others. At 70, this truth becomes especially urgent. The time of expecting others to carry you has passed. Your children now walk their own paths. Your friends shoulder their own burdens. To tie your happiness to their actions is to chain your joy to forces beyond your control. And what you cannot control will always bring suffering if you cling to it. Buddhism calls this dukkha, the unease, the sorrow that arises from craving and attachment, craving for others to validate you, clinging to the idea that your peace depends on their behavior. When reality does not meet your craving, suffering blossoms. But what if you reversed the equation? What if you said, "My happiness is my responsibility. My peace is my practice. My joy is my creation." In that moment, something shifts. Power returns to you. You are no longer a beggar waiting at another's door. You become a gardener tending the soil of your own soul. You begin to cultivate joy as one would nurture a seed with patience, attention, and care. Think of the small joys that remain ever within reach. The warmth of tea on your lips, the softness of morning light filtering through your window, the rhythm of your breath, steady, faithful, always with you. These are not gifts given by others. They are treasures revealed by presence. The happiest elders are not those who wait to be entertained, flattered, or rescued. They are the ones who create. They take up painting, or gardening, or learning an instrument they once thought it was too late to begin. They walk slowly, not hurriedly, and notice the flowers others rush past. They join conversations not to complain of neglect, but to share wisdom, laughter, and life. They do not wait for joy to arrive. They build it, moment by moment, with their own hands and heart. So ask yourself, when was the last time you did something that made your own heart smile, not because someone asked, but because you chose it freely? When was the last time you discovered a new passion, read a new book, or learned something that made you feel alive again? If it has been years, perhaps now is the time, for joy is not found in waiting, it is found in doing. Yet let us be honest, letting go of expectation is not easy. It feels natural to long for recognition, for affection, for attention. And yes, when it comes, it is sweet. Accept it with gratitude. But here lies the difference. Enjoy it when it arrives, yet do not depend upon it to feel whole. Accept it as a gift, not a guarantee. The Buddha's teaching of upekkha, equanimity, reminds us to meet both praise and blame, attention and neglect, with calm balance. If someone forgets you, do not collapse into despair. If someone celebrates you, do not cling to the praise. Be steady like a mountain, unmoved by passing winds. And here again is one of life's beautiful paradoxes. When you no longer demand that others make you happy, your relationships become lighter, your children feel less pressure, your friends feel less burdened, and ironically, they often return with more genuine love. Why? Because they are no longer trying to fill an impossible emptiness. Your self-sufficiency becomes magnetic. Your inner joy radiates outward, drawing others close, not from obligation but from delight. So let us reflect together. Who are you waiting on to make you happy? Whose words, whose actions, whose approval have you chained your peace to? Sit with that question gently. Do not judge yourself for the answers. Simply see them, breathe with them, and remember, you already hold the key. The flame you seek has always been within you, waiting to be lit. What if today you released others from the silent burden of being responsible for your happiness? What if you said, I will not hold you hostage to my joy. I free you, and in doing so, I free myself. Take a deep breath. With the inhale, acknowledge the craving, the desire for someone else to fill your emptiness. With the exhale, let it go. Again, inhale, feel the longing. Exhale, release it. With each mindful breath, you are cutting the chain of expectation link by link, returning your spirit to freedom. The Buddha once said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. This is not poetic metaphor. It is precise instruction. When you stop waiting for others to create your peace, you finally begin to live it. Let that truth settle softly in your heart. Happiness is not received. It is created, not borrowed, but born, not handed down, but awakened. At 70, this is your liberation. You no longer need to beg for joy, nor wait for it to arrive. You can cultivate it yourself, gently, moment by moment, breath by breath, like a gardener tending her flowers in the quiet dawn. And when you do, you will find that your light not only warms your own heart, but softly illuminates the lives of those around you. Have you ever looked upon the young with a bittersweet ache, their skin unlined, their bodies quick, their days stretching end-lined, their bodies quick, their days stretching endlessly before them, and then turn to your own reflection, seeing the gray hair, the slower steps, the weary bones, and whispered, if only I were young again. This is the comparison trap, the thief of joy more cunning than almost any other. It is the voice that says, they are ahead, I am behind, they are beginning, I am ending. But Buddhism teaches that all suffering arises from clinging, and comparison is simply another form of clinging to who we once were, to what we imagine we should still be. Ask yourself gently, are you meant to be 20 again, 30, 40? No, you are not meant to repeat a past season. You are meant to live this one fully. A rosebud cannot envy the full bloom, and the bloom cannot envy the autumn leaf. Each has its moment, its beauty, its truth. The Buddha spoke of upekkha, equanimity, the balance of mind in the midst of gain and loss, praise and blame, youth and age. To live with equanimity is to step out of the endless game of comparison and rest in the dignity of the present moment. Consider this: the young may run faster, but the elder sees farther. The young move with speed, but you, if you are still and attentive, move with depth. You see the patterns in the dance of time, the quiet perfection in impermanence. Your wisdom is not a shadow of youth, it is its fulfillment. But where, truly, are they running? The young may have smooth skin and quick steps, but do they yet carry the wisdom of loss, the patience earned through decades, the perspective born from surviving storms and seasons? Youth is not superiority, it is simply one turn of the great wheel of life. And age is not decline, it is another turn, equally vital, equally sacred. The wheel turns for all of us. When you were young, did you envy the old? Did you long for gray hair and slower movement? Of course not, because that was not your season. So why now envy youth? It is no longer yours, and it was never meant to be forever. The Dharma teaches anicca impermanence. Seasons change, rivers flow, forms shift, and peace are found not in resisting the current, but in moving with it. Imagine two rivers. One rushes forward, fast and wild, crashing over stones, eager to reach the sea. The other flows slowly, winding deep through valleys, reflecting the sky like a mirror. Which is better? Neither. Both are rivers, both are water, both are on their way. The young are the rushing stream, the old are the deep current, and together they complete the story of life. Yet comparison blinds us. We see only what has been lost, not what has been gained. We look upon the young and see the beauty of the body, but forget the beauty of the soul, one that ripens only with time. We see their beginnings, but not their uncertainty. We see our wrinkles, but not our resilience. And this is the deeper suffering comparison breeds bitterness. It turns admiration into envy, memory into regret. When you look at the young and feel only what you lack, you poison your own joy. But when you look at them and see continuity, the passing of the flame, the unfolding of the Dharma, then joy returns. Buddhism offers a practice called mudita, sympathetic joy, the art of rejoicing in the happiness and success of others. When you see the young, instead of resenting their vitality, rejoice in it. Rejoice that life continues. Rejoice that they run while you now walk. Rejoice that the wheel still turns, and that you are still here to witness it. Ask yourself honestly, do you truly wish to be young again? To return to the confusion, the insecurities, the mistakes not yet learned from? Or would you rather dwell in the calm of knowing who you are, the clarity born of years, the steadiness that comes only from living long and deeply? Do not trade the jewels of wisdom for the illusion of youth. Think of a mountain. At its base, the air is thick, the forest dense. Midway, the climb is steep, the rocks sharp, the body tested, but at the summit, the air clears, the view opens, and the whole landscape is revealed. Each stage has its trials, but only from the summit can you see the full horizon. Aging is that summit. Why envy those still struggling through the forest, when you now stand in the vastness of understanding? Even the Buddha aged, his body bent, his health waned, but his compassion deepened, and his wisdom grew radiant. He did not compare himself to the vigor of his younger disciples. He simply accepted the truth of impermanence, and in that acceptance, he was free. So how do we let go of comparison? Begin by noticing it. The next time envy arises, pause. Ask yourself, what story am I telling right now? That youth is better? That age is worse? Then question that story. Is it true or is it merely clinging? Another illusion the mind refuses to release. Inhale, see the envy. Exhale, let it go. And in that breath, replace comparison with gratitude. Gratitude for your survival. Gratitude for your resilience. Gratitude for your hard-won perspective. Gratitude for the privilege of having lived through joys and sorrows, through dawns and dusks, through the countless turns of the wheel that have brought you here, to this moment, to this breath, to this depth of being. The young have not yet learned the depth of gratitude that comes simply from being alive, being awake, being here. They do not yet know the quiet joy that rises in the heart when you realize after all the storms you are still breathing. Comparison shrinks your world. Gratitude expands it. Comparison blinds you to beauty. Equanimity restores your vision. Comparison breeds envy. Madaya sympathetic. Joy plants compassion. So remember this. You are not meant to be who you were at 30. You are meant to be who you are now. And who you are now carries treasures that no youthful body could ever contain. Let go of comparison, and you will find peace. Let go of envy, and you will discover freedom. Look upon the young, not with resentment, but with kindness. Bless them as they walk the road you once traveled, and then continue along your own path, with dignity, wisdom, and joy lighting your steps. Now close your eyes for a moment. Think of the one memory that still haunts you, the word you never said, the apology you never gave, the mistake that wounded someone you loved, the choice you would undo if only time could turn back. You feel the heaviness in your chest, the tightening of breath. That is regret, and for many, by 70, regret has become an old companion. But regret is no friend. It is a captor. It binds you to the past like an invisible chain. It whispers lies. If only you had chosen differently, your life would be perfect. If only you had spoken sooner, everything would be healed. But the truth, the liberating, unchanging truth, is this: the past cannot be altered. No matter how many times you replay the same moment, it remains exactly as it was. The Buddha spoke often of this futility, the mind's endless habit of wounding itself again and again. He called it the second arrow. The first arrow is the pain of what has happened, the hurt that life inevitably brings. The second arrow is the suffering we create ourselves, the refusal to release. Regret is that second arrow. The event is long over, but we keep piercing ourselves with its echo over and over again. Imagine, if you will, carrying a backpack filled with stones. Each stone is a regret. One for a harsh word spoken, one for an opportunity missed, one for a relationship lost, or a dream abandoned. Over 70 years, how many stones have you gathered? How heavy has that pack become? And what would happen, truly, if you simply set it down? The weight would vanish instantly, not because the past had been erased, but because you had stopped carrying it. This is the practice of release. Does letting go of regret mean denying your mistakes? No, the Buddha never asked us to lie to ourselves. Mistakes are real. Harm was done. But wisdom means learning the lesson without carrying the punishment forever. The past is your teacher, not your jailer. Think of a candle. When one flame lights another, the fire passes on, but the original flame does not grow dim. In the same way, your past cannot be undone, but your present can carry the light forward. Regret fixes your gaze backward. Wisdom turns your eyes toward what can still be lived, still be healed, still be shared. Ask yourself, when you dwell on regret, does it heal the one you wronged? Does it repair the missed opportunity? Or does it only poison your present moment? If the answer is the latter, and it always is, then why keep drinking from that bitter cup? Buddhism offers a practice both simple and profound: forgiveness. Not only forgiveness of others, but forgiveness of yourself. Self-forgiveness is not indulgence, it is clarity. It is seeing clearly that to keep punishing yourself for what cannot be changed serves no one. It only deepens suffering. If you hurt someone in the past, you cannot return to that moment, but you can choose here, now, to live differently, to speak more gently, to love more fully, to act more kindly. That is the true redemption of regret, transforming it into compassion in the present. Let us try a reflection together. Close your eyes. Picture the regret that weighs heaviest upon your heart. See it as a stone in your hand. Feel its hardness, its weight, the way it anchors you to what is gone. Now imagine setting it gently on the ground. Whisper softly, "This no longer belongs to me." Then breathe out slowly. Do you feel lighter? That is the beginning of freedom. Some might say, "But my past is too dark. I cannot forgive myself." Yet remember, the Buddha himself welcomed murderers, thieves, and the broken into his community. Angulimala, once a killer, became a monk and found peace. If even he could transform, why not you? Are your regrets heavier than his? If not, then forgiveness is still possible. The Dharma reminds us, the past is gone. The future has not yet arrived. Only this moment is real. Regret pulls you out of the present. It keeps you grasping for what cannot be touched. But life can only be lived now. If you waste the now replaying the then, you sacrifice the only reality you have. So how do you move forward? Step by step. Begin each morning with a vow. I will not waste today in regret. I will live this day with compassion. And when regret rises, as it surely will, meet it with your breath. Inhale, acknowledge it. Exhale, release it. Over time, the habit of carrying regret will weaken, and the habit of letting go will grow strong. Think of your 70 years. How many moments have been lost to regret? And how many moments still remain to be lived? Which is more precious, the pages already written, or the blank pages still waiting for your pen? The past is ink that has dried. The present is ink still flowing. Write wisely now. Ask yourself once more, what's left? Is it not more important than what's behind? Can you live that truth? If you can, then regret loses its grip. The backpack falls away. The stones are left by the roadside, and you walk forward, lighter, freer, open to the quiet joy of what remains. The Buddha said, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." This is not just a teaching, it is an invitation to return home to the only place life ever truly exists. This breath, this step, this moment. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. This is not just a beautiful saying, it is the antidote to regret, the medicine for a wounded heart. So release it. Release the old words that echo in your mind, the mistakes that replay in your memory, the griefs that have lingered too long. Release them not to forget, but to live. Because the truth is this: life is too short and far too precious to be spent dragging the corpses of the past. What is gone. What remains is sacred. Live it full. There is a voice that whispers inside many hearts at 70. It's too late for me. Too late to change. Too late to start over. Too late to dream again. But that voice is the most dangerous illusion of all, for it kills the present long before death itself arrives. It convinces you that because many years have passed, the years ahead are empty. But is that true, or just another story your mind tells to keep you small? The Buddha taught of momentariness, that every instant of life is fresh, born anew. You are not the same person you were yesterday, or even a breath ago. The cells of your body change. The thoughts in your mind shift. The world around you transforms without pause. If everything is in constant motion, how could it ever be too late? Too late compared to what? Too late compared to who? Think about the breath. If you are alive, you are breathing. And with each breath, you are given another chance. Inhale, renewal. Exhale, release. If you are still breathing, life is not finished with you. And if life is not finished with you, then how can it ever be too late?